All right, folks, Bobo here. Welcome back to 3Zen. Or if you're a first time viewer, welcome to 3Zen. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about formation, getting more and more detail into it. But before I do that, we'll begin with the briefing. Actually, I think the briefing was probably one of the most important, if not the most important aspect of the formation of a formation ride. Because you're dealing with numerous airplanes in very close proximity, almost in the same airspace. Okay, so we would have a published briefing time, usually about an hour, hour 15 prior to the takeoff. And we would expect people to be there about 5 minutes earlier than that actual briefing time. And those briefings were, you didn't screw around with them. If a door was closed to the flight commander's office, you did not walk in there. If you saw 4 guys sitting at a table look like they were briefing, you did not interrupt them. 3 guys, or whatever it was. If it was obvious to you that a formation briefing was being conducted, you did not interrupt them. It was that important. So usually the briefing would begin with a time hack. Let's say 1 o'clock today. So I would expect everybody to be there about 12:55, have their lineup cards all filled out, and lineup card would have who's in what airplane and who's in the other airplane, would have the runway, weather, and mission profile and stuff like that. I'll talk about that here in the next couple of videos. Okay, so you do the time hack, and then the flight commander would go over a mission overview, give everybody kind of a sense of what the objective was that day, to include the step time, what time we're going to leave the building, hop on the van and ride out, a start time, taxi, discuss the lineup, what wing number 2 takes. And I'll get in more detail on that. Departure, again, brief overview of area work. And usually here's where you heard the term split the gas. What that meant was we give each student the same opportunity for the same amount of gas. And then we talk about individual maneuvers we were going to be doing. Pitch outs, turning and straight ahead rejoins, to extended trail, close trail, echelon turns, and what did I write down here? Oh, throughout it, fingertip. And I'll talk more about fingertip maneuvering in a bit. And then we cover the recovery and pattern work to do, whether we were going to come back for a couple patterns or come back for a full stop, do a formation approach and landing, and whatever. So all these items were covered in the briefing. I'm going to take a minute here and talk about a recent accident a couple of years ago at a unnamed base in South Texas. The one where newcomers are coming across. I didn't say that, did I? No. They had a 2-ship hit each other on short final, or just as they crossed the runway threshold. And there was a fatality. Another guy had a significant injury, and then the solo pilot more or less just walked away from it. 2 aircraft, I don't know if they were totally destroyed, but they were banged up pretty bad if they weren't. Well, all I know about that mission was that the briefing time was set at, say, 1 o'clock again. I wouldn't have a clue. But the instructor showed up 20 minutes to 30 minutes late for the briefing. Now, the flight commander was a full 06 full colonel. And there's no way in hell, am I being judgmental here? From what I know, and if I need to be corrected, go ahead and I'll issue a correction on this. But from everything I've seen, he allowed that instructor pilot to show up 20 minutes later and still took the flight airborne. There is no way in hell I would have done that. None. Absolutely zero. My IPs wouldn't have tolerated that from me, and I wouldn't tolerate it from anybody in my flight. And hopefully the guys I taught wouldn't stand for it. You just did not show up late for formation briefings. To do so was sacrilegious. But anyway, they went airborne, and as they came down short final, neither one of them knew who was on first, and it resulted in a tragic accident. I can also point a finger at 4 ships where they collided because of inadequate briefings and so forth. So I think I've been pretty forceful in impressing upon you just how significant, how important the briefings in formation are. Well, they're important on all aspects of flight, but especially in formation. So with that being said, next video is going to cover ground ops, and then we'll get airborne, get out into the area and do a little bit of area work, and then come back. So that being said, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again soon. Until then, Bobo, base gear stock.